Hello, my name is Joseph Carlson, and this is episode 214 of Gaming with Grief. And I'm just calling this episode Concrete Genie Early Impressions. But yeah, that's what I'm doing. I can't think of a weird transition after this because I'm doing the announcements afterwards, the shout outs and all that. But yeah, I want to talk about Concrete Genie. I've been playing this game about halfway through it. It's not a long game. But I don't usually do nuts and bolts, but I just want to talk a little bit about that. For the game, it was developed by a company called Opus. I'm going to look off my screen for a second. I have some notes up here in Wikipedia and stuff like that. Opus actually was founded in 2014 and was a Sony internal studio. They worked on two games, Entwined and Concrete Genie. Concrete Genie came out on the 8th of October 2019. It's part of the PlayStation Plus Extra Collection. That's how I'm playing it. And I've been thinking about it a lot. There seems a bullying in it. I saw a trailer, and I really like this idea of art and painting and how that, this whole town, I had to look it up. The town that this fictional thing takes place in is called Denska. And there's been, it's a port town, like a little sleepy fisherman town. They had a lot of tourism now, and there was like an oil tanker collapse, and oil has spilled. People have left because their livelihood went away. The fish stopped coming. The town was kind of a dump, and you play. Wow, you know what? I just wrote this down. Let's see here. Ash. Yeah, that makes sense. I had it written down. You play Ash, and he, it's not great. There's a bunch of bullies around town that follow you. And he uses art. He's got a sketchbook. They obviously make fun of him. And you're trying to pick up pieces of your sketchbook, but you get a magic paintbrush that allows you to take this incredibly gray place and just like dilapidated place and turn it into something magical. And what I like about it is they give you choice in how you want to paint the town. Now, you could be thinking to yourself, why are you talking about this on the podcast? In the game, they go over individuals' feelings. Ash will, somebody will try to grab his magic paintbrush that is more like a broom. He will grab it and he'll get a kind of a flashback to how they came to be. Mostly it's through bullying or like a broken home life. But really, which is, a terrible thing in itself. Everybody's story so far that I've seen, I think I've seen three of them so far. They're all terrible. But what I think is more interesting about this and the idea, the kind of thesis that I'm coming into this with is that, we really rebuild ourselves sometimes through art. I'm doing it with this podcast. I'm creating this because I feel like I have a need to share something. And I feel very creative when I do it. When I write notes down, when I'm playing the game, I'm trying to think of like how to tackle a subject. And, yeah, and I came upon this piece that was in the Florida Times Union that was published a long time ago, almost 10 years ago on December 6, 2013, by Frank Denton, I believe. And it's this idea of, they interview this woman named Kim Berrigan, who basically was in New Orleans when Katrina hit. And now she works, if I understand the article correctly, for like the local city council and works on trying to give, right here, she says right here, tens of thousands of people showed up in a city that had just shrunk from 30,000 to 27,000. The one Berrigan I remember was as a little girl. And what she talks about is it was a huge opportunity to people to heal through art. So it's a nonprofit she works for a nonprofit that's giving grants away to people to do, what does it say? Free concert walks, art walks, Christmas festivals, ways to get children to art venues, concerts. She said they only expect 200 to 300 people the first year. 5,000 people showed up. Every event was amazing. And then, there's a lot of talk nowadays about cutting, art programs, something like that. She actually brings this up in her argument. She says, She argues that every investment comes back in spades. For every dollar we invest in arts, there's a $22 return to the economy, and $5 of that goes into the city and state government coffers. What else can you get that? Where else can you get that kind of return on investment? Now, I'm not really concerned about the return on investment and stuff like that, but I think there is a deep thing where we don't really value the power of art. And what I really like about Concrete Genie is, again, like I said, since you're painting these genies that you discover and you have a sketchbook, they give you possible parts to how things are shaped, but you get to choose, and they pick the colors, but you get to choose a configuration. So by that, I mean, you get to paint a genie as a mushroom-shaped creature with horns and like a curly tail, like a pig, or you can make it like, like a dog with like antlers and, a spike for a tail or something like that. And I was just reading that one of their philosophies, Pixel Opus, when they were developing this, is they didn't want to judge people for creating art the way they wanted. So you couldn't submit to a leaderboard and like rate different pieces of art. There was no way for you to go on there and say, this is only a 3 out of 5. And what I really like about the game is everything that I'm painting is unique to me. If I look at everybody else's Denskas, if I looked at like gameplay footage, it's going to look drastically different than mine. And you really get to make the city and kind of express yourself. And you're really bringing life back to the city. Now, I haven't finished the game yet. I'm very close. I'll probably finish it later today. But what I really like is I'm going to get this whole different picture of the town that I have created, and hopefully people come back. And I think there is this amazing healing power to art that I think we don't talk about a lot. The idea that when you create something, you could be dealing with all kinds of inner demons and things like that. This story obviously deals with bullying. I hope the bullies kind of get involved in the end, because that's one thing that's missing. Ash is making everything colorful. Literally, he's turning lights on. There's these like Christmas lights strewn throughout the town, and they're all dead. By you painting, they turn on. And the whole place looks so colorful and vibrant. I hope at the end that the bullies actually show up to either help, or maybe you'll have a moment of peace and clarity. But I think it's something that, the act of, like, I find this when I'm writing something or whatever, the act of quietness, the act of contemplation when you're in the middle of stuff is so powerful. And I think, that's a little bit what I'm feeling with this game is like, oh, I could do this and this. And kind of everything you're thinking about kind of fades away. All your problems, all your normal day-to-day foibles kind of, it doesn't matter, because you're really just focused on this event or this thing that you're working on, and all the kind of noise in your head just kind of quiets down. And I think they've done a great thing, and I hope, it continues to be, I hope it continues in this direction, obviously. I don't know how grand, again, the story is. Sometimes I do these games and I'm always worried that it isn't grand enough, that they're not telling a big enough story. But that doesn't have to be true. They can just tell a good story with this town. I don't know if everybody's going to flock back to Denska, if you're going to understand the mystery of the darkness, these weird black tendrils that you're clearing away while you're painting. But I hope that for some way, somehow, I hope the people around, again, I hope the bullies and maybe some people around Ash can see, hey, that's pretty great, because I've been kind of avoiding the bullies right now, or like kind of calling them away, trying to get them away from where I need to go, because, they'll take your paintbrush and you have to go get it back. But what I want is them to kind of look around and go, hey, wait a minute, this actually looks pretty cool. And maybe they could talk about it, Maybe that's something that'll unite everybody. So yeah, again, a little shorter of an episode because I'm not done with the game, but I've been thinking about this all day as I've been playing it. Like, how do we reconcile, or at least how do we heal through art? Like that article. How do you come together and say, I'm going to silence every voice in my head. I'm going to sit and I'm going to focus on this thing, and I hope it's better in the end than it was in the beginning, and maybe give you a little bit of peace. Yeah. So again, that's it for this week. I guess I will talk to you guys next week. Again, shorter episode, but next week I'll have a full breakdown of Concrete Genie and kind of like where I thought it all went and everything like that. And so, yeah, enjoy the week, and I will talk to you guys again next week. If you like what you're seeing and hearing, please consider subscribing to the podcast. You can go to either Apple iTunes, the Google Play Store, Spotify, or Amazon Music in the podcast section. It'll hit Monday morning or Sunday afternoon, depending on when it posts. And the video will hit on YouTube and Spotify Monday. Spotify will hit Monday evening, and YouTube it'll hit Monday morning, 7 a.m., just like it does for the audio services. So please go to those places and consider subscribing or listening to the show. You can also write to me at gwgpodfellows@gmail.com if you want to write me a letter. Let me know what you think of the show, things like that. Or you can also find me on Twitter at JustLittleJoe. So go to those places and please consider liking and subscribing. Thanks.